All right, today we're going to walk you through different foil positioning, specifically mast position on your boards, and kind of what that does, how that changes your setup, and where you might want to position your mast for different foil shapes and different foil wings, models, so on. So we're just going to start out with basically some generic rule of thumb. Usually, typically speaking, when you get a brand new foil and get a brand new foil board, obviously, it's a little bit of a mystery of what do you do? Where do you set this thing up? Really what we'd recommend, honestly, just basically rule of thumb, when you slide your mast forward in the tracks, it's going to give you a lot more front foot pressure and just produce a lot more lift overall. Whereas if you slide the mast a little bit, in the extreme example, all the way to the back of the tracks, that's going to give you a little bit more back foot pressure and just less overall lift. So it's going to feel like the foil is lifting out of the water a little bit less. A lot of different riders like different feelings. Some people like a lot of front foot pressure. Some people like the board to feel very neutral. So basically, you want to set up, I would always recommend that you set your mast relatively central and then go out, take a ride, bring a tool with you, like a key or a Torx tool. Ride it for about 5-10 minutes, get a good feel. Even if you're happy with it, come back in and adjust it. Move it forward maybe an inch, tighten it up, go out, ride it for another 10 minutes, feel it out, go back to your normal setting and move it back an inch. Tighten it up, go out and ride it for a few minutes. Just gives you an idea of where the foil really feels best. You kind of start to understand where the stall speed is in the foil, what gives you the best lift overall, depending on what board you're using and so on. Now, with Cabrinha boards specifically, particularly the 2026 boards, you're going to notice that we obviously have basically a track positioning indicator in between the tracks on the bottom of the board. For the prestige foils for the Cabrinha boards, I'd recommend for the trailing edge of the mast, you want to set it up really so that it's exactly at zero. I think the boards and the prestige wings on the union foils are balanced very, very well at that setting. I personally like the trailing edge of the mast to be just a hair forward of center. If you want to get super technical, it's basically, we divide it into quarters, so that would be 0.25 forward. I feel as if all prestige wings, whether you're riding the 760, the 905, the 1150, the lift profile is very even across the whole range. So what I mean by that is if you're riding the 760 and you have your trailing edge set up, as I mentioned before, maybe at zero or slightly forward of zero, it's going to feel exactly the same if you go up to the 905 or if you go up to the 1150. So the lift, you're not going to feel as if, when you go for a smaller foil wing to a bigger foil wing, they have more and more lift. Like they're actually balanced very, very well, and they feel great in the same position. So it's a really nice, kind of a nice aspect about the Prestige. Once you find a setting that you really prefer and you like in terms of your mast placement, you're pretty much good to go. You can lock your track nuts in place if that's an option for you, and then you're set. You found it, you're dialed, you're stoked. Now, the Prestige front wings versus the Whippets. The Whippets have quite a bit more lift, initial takeoff lift, versus the Prestige. So because of that, because they have more lift, you want to slide your mast backwards in the tracks, just a hair in comparison to where you would normally ride your Prestige. So what I would recommend is, on our boards, basically one full setting backwards. And what that means is if you're riding it at zero on the Prestige, and you want to ride a Whippet, again, it doesn't really matter which front wing in terms of the Whippet, whether it's the 750, the 850, or 1000, they're all relatively even in lift. They have similar lift profiles, just like the Prestige. You would want to you're going from the Prestige to the Whippet, you would want to set your mast back one full setting in the track. So if you're at zero, go to -1. And that seems to be pretty great. So yeah, in conclusion, basically, we would definitely encourage you to experiment with your setup a little bit. Try it in different places. Bring a tool with you so you can either flip your board over on the water or do an adjustment on the water, come back to the beach, make a quick adjustment, go back out. Let us know what you like. Please post in the comments, add what foil wing you're riding, where you like it set up, what board you're riding. We want to know. We want to hear from you. Spread the love. Keep us all informed. See you in the water.